evening. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Toya Singh. This is a show where we try to look at the day's top stories through the lens of just the facts. Right now, we were bringing you visuals from inside the Lok Sabha as the Delhi Ordinance Bill was, as expected, passed. Now it's going to go on to the Rajya Sabha. We've brought you visuals from that. Now let's take you to our first story. We're shifting focus. We're taking a look at the big story today, a story that developed early in the morning today, the Gyanvapi case, as the Muslim body, the Anjuman Intizamiya Masjid Committee, today moved the Supreme Court against the Allahabad High Court order that allowed the ASI, that's the Archaeological Survey of India, to carry on with their survey on the historic Gyanvapi Mosque. Now, it was very much expected that the body would take this case to the highest court in the land. But tonight on the show, we're joined by voices from both sides as we look to understand what this next chapter means for the Gyanvapi case and why it could have national resonance. That's what we're taking a deeper look at tonight. But before we open that up, let's take a look at what the Allahabad High Court had to say today in its verdict. This is what the Chief Justice had to say. He said that the issue of a commission is permissible. We'll take a deeper dive into what each of this means in just a second. But he also said that the Varanasi court was justified in going ahead and ordering this ASI survey. Remember, the ASI survey is being done to understand the history of the mosque. Now, what the court has said is that a scientific survey is necessary in the interest of justice. They've also said that there is no substance in the submission of the other side, the Masjid Committee. We'll take a deeper dive into what they said. Now, the other thing that the court has said is that there is no substance that scientific investigation can't be ordered. Essentially, the scientific investigation will go on. The judge said that with the help of new technology, scientific investigations can be made into the history, what lay before, if anything did, before this structure existed. Now let's take a deeper dive into what the arguments of the Masjid Committee were in the Allahabad High Court. This is what the Allahabad High Court essentially said had no substance to, but let's take a deeper look at what the committee argued. They said, A, that any kind of excavation within the premises would destroy the structure as it stood today. That argument was rejected. Number two, they said that the Wazukhana, which the Hindu side is saying resembles a shivling, they said that will suffer damage if any kind of excavation effort takes place. They also said that the area around it is actually where the namaz is offered. Now, the court said that there was no water to that. We'll take you into why in just a second. But let's finish what the Masjid Committee had to say. Their counsel said that the Hindu side's claim that there is a temple underneath the current mosque is completely fictional. They also said that the petitioners did not have any proof of the claim that they were making about the history of the entire mosque and what existed before it. Now, are these questions that were raised by the Masjid Committee, these points that were raised by them, are they well-founded? Let's take a deeper look at what will be surveyed by the Architecture Survey of India, the ASI. Number one, we know, this has been made clear, that no excavation is going to be taking place in the complex itself. Only mapping and measurement is going to be allowed. The ASI survey is to go nowhere close to the Wazukhana, which is the structure that we've talked about. Remember, that's the structure that the committee, the Masjid Committee says is nothing but a fountain. Now, what we know is that radio imagery is going to be used. We also know that there's going to be certain technology used that the ASI says, again, will not cause damage to the complex. They're saying that there's going to be ground-penetrating radar that is used. And as you know, radar will not actually, according to the ASI, cause any disturbance to anything on the surface. Now, let's go very quickly to breaking news in this story. Then we'll go to our panelists. All right, this is an important development. We're learning that both sides, as we speak, it's a little past 7 p.m. right now on a Thursday evening, and both sides are still at the Supreme Court. Both of them are waiting outside the office of the Registrar. This is for an urgent hearing. Remember, the Masjid Committee had said after the orders were passed today, they said they would go back to the Supreme Court and ask them to put a stop on the survey. My colleague, our legal correspondent Ananya Bhatnagar, to bring us more context. Ananya, both sides waiting at the Registrar's office. Give our audience a little bit of context as to what this means, please.
both the sides, whether we talk of Vishnu Shankar Jain, who's representing the Hindu petitioners, or Mr. Fuzail Ayubi and Mr. Nizam Pasha, along with the senior, their team is waiting outside the office of the Registrar Judicial Listing. Basically, he is the law officer responsible for listing of cases at the Supreme Court. We just saw a few minutes ago that they were also holding meetings with the Chief Justice of India. The Registrar Judicial had gone to the office of the Chief Justice of India, and a decision might come in with regards to urgent hearing being taking place on the Gyanvapi route. Today itself, we might see a late evening or late night hearing taking place. But all of that we'll have to wait and watch for. These are subject to the orders of the Chief Justice of India, Dr. Justice Dhananjay Yashwant Chandrachud. But what had happened, Toya, since the very beginning is that, what is very, very clear is that the Allahabad High Court had clearly given an order in the favor of the Muslim side, clearly, of the Hindu side, clearly allowing for a ASI survey to actually take place in this particular case. And it said that, the orders of the Varanasi district courts were just and proper, and the ASI survey without any damage to the structure can be carried out with the modern techniques that are available at this point of time. And that's the reason why, in fact, the High Court has very, very categorically said that the ASI survey can continue. It will begin at 7 a.m. tomorrow. And if at all the Muslim side does not succeed in, persuading the court today itself, then the survey might begin at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, though it can be stayed later, just like it happened the previous time. But something or the other would, the Muslim side is leaving no stone unturned to actually, check upon any kind of
Thank you for bringing us that context. That's our legal correspondent. He's been bringing us coverage on this story over the last few days. Let's take a quick look at the question we're looking at tonight on Plain Speak. The Gyanvapi survey. Who is shying away from the facts? We'll take a deeper look. We'll have both sides with us right now in just a few minutes. This is Plain Speak.
चीफ जस्टिस साहब ने कहा है कि एएसआई ने एफिडेविट फाइल किया है, उस एफिडेविट के कंप्लायंस में सर्वे किया जाए। साथ ही साथ उन्होंने कहा कि जब एएसआई ने एफिडेविट दिया है तो कोई मतलब नहीं है उसको डाउट करने का।
न्यायालय के आदेश का हृदय से स्वागत करता हूं और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि एएसआई की सर्वे के माध्यम से सच्चाई बाहर आएगी।
Good evening. Let's take a deeper dive into today's topic. Let me introduce you to the panelists that we have with us on the show this evening. Sharad Trivedi, a spokesperson for the BJP in Uttar Pradesh, is with us. In a little while, we're going to have Vishnu Shankar Jain, the advocate for the Hindu side. He'll be joining us. Atikur Rahman, an Islamic scholar, is with us today to have a deeper conversation. So you joined us earlier when we talked about this topic too. We also have Tausif Ahmed Khan. He's a lawyer and a political analyst. Good evening. Thank you for joining us here on the show. All right, I'm going to take a deeper dive into this entire discussion. I'm going to ask all of you. We're going to try not to talk over each other. I'll come to each of you. We'll allot our time exactly like that. But first, very quickly, let me go to Atikur Rahman. Ji, sir, I want to ask you, what was your reaction to everything that was said in court today by the Allahabad court?
Well, the wisdom of the court is undoubtedly in the favor of the people of India, I would say. We cannot doubt over it. What is interesting in today's outcome is the court refusing the ASI to have any ground penetration. Any digging is not allowed. So this is the core issue which I was pinpointing from the beginning, that the moment you move into digging and ground penetration, a radar survey will be changing the character of the place, which will be violating the 1991 Places of Worship Act. So I think the Masjid committee also should look into it. Of course, they went into the Supreme Court. But this is a welcome step. That now I don't understand that if there is no ground penetration, if there is no digging, if there is no scientific this thing, then is the history not enough which tells us enormously about Aurangzeb's farman that the part of the mandir was demolished to build the Gyanvapi Mosque. And historians have established this fact. The famous historian of ours, Irfan Habib Saab, and even the constitutionalist Faizan Mustafa Saab, both agree that there is no, amount of doubt which, is there for the historical evidence to prove that the place was usurped by Aurangzeb. Now, why are we wasting our resources, our time of the courts, in this gimmickry and a charade played by the BJP, when a straight path towards the Gyanvapi is the repealing or amendment of the 1991 Places of Worship Act? That shows that the BJP wants to utilize this particular issue for their electioneering campaign and to consolidate the Hindutva element.
Okay. Sir, let me now go over to the BJP representative with us on the show, Mr. Trivedi. Mr. Trivedi, what Atikur Rahman said right now is a point that he's made before and a number of your opposition leaders have also made before. They've questioned the timing of this entire issue. So a few days ago, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh also made a statement. And in his statement, it became very clear which side he was on. Sir, the opposition has said, why is the BJP politicizing this? Why is the Chief Minister talking about an issue that is sub judice? So, what's your response to just that question?
First of all, BJP is not a party to the dispute, and nobody who's part of BJP is a party to the dispute. They have nothing to do with the dispute at all. Okay. It was filed by 5 ladies who wanted to have they were already worshipping there. They wanted permission to worship on a daily basis. Now they went to the court. The court decided it is between there are 2 parties. One Anjum Islamia Masjid group and one is the Hindu group. They are fighting about it. And the dispute is in the court, and Honorable Yogi ji only said that this should be, because this is a disputed area. If you call it disputed area, then the problem occurs. If they acknowledge the actual ground situation there, the kind of symbols which are there, which are integral to Hinduism, like the boar, the Varaha avatar of, who's the 3rd avatar of Vishnu, has nothing to do with Islam. In fact, one of the most hated symbols of Islam. We have got a swastik there, we have got Om there, we have got Trishul there, we have got Shiv and Parvati statues there, which has nothing to do with Islam. So if he said that in case the offer comes from the Muslims, because this has been the case even before. Like the kind of atrocity committed by the...
Mr. Trivedi, 1 second. Let's put out the statement that Yogi Adityanath said a few days ago, because the language of it is very clear. It's not in any way unbiased. His language is the Muslim side should admit their historic mistake. So that's a pretty pointed remark. It's very hard to look at that and wonder which side the Chief Minister is on.
We may not believe what the court is saying, we may not believe in what the Hindu side is saying, but at least the apostle of secularism, Aurangzeb himself has said it. He has said in Masir-e Alamgiri that all the temples and schools on the infidels should be destroyed and the religious practices should be crushed. And on the 2nd of September 1669, the matter was reported back to his court that the Farman...
Sorry, I'm unsure why why are you discussing what... Sir, I'm discussing the political leanings or the political comments of someone who's currently in office. Why are you bringing up Aurangzeb here, sir?
He did not say anything on the issue of which is sub judice. What he said that it could be an arbitration proceeding, it could be discussed, it could be sorted out of the court. There's no problem. We can comment or we can discuss. He is an ordinary citizen of the country. He can comment on the proceedings.
He's a fringe element, sir.
All right.
He's a fringe element of yours.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask Atikur Rahmanji, please wait for each of our panelists to finish speaking. I'm not going to allow talking over here. All right, Mr. Trivedi, just stay with us for a second. Let me now go over to both of the other panelists who are with us right now. I do believe that Vishnu Shankar Jain ji has joined us. He is an advocate for the Hindu side. The other panelist who we haven't gone to yet is Tausif Ahmed Khan, a lawyer and a political analyst. First, I just want to go over to understand the strategy to Vishnu Shankar Jain ji, who's with us right now. Sir, can you just walk us through what the plan is now for your side, for the people that you're representing? We know right now that the committee for the mosque is planning to go to the Supreme Court. We've already shared that news with the audiences. But what is the strategy of your team, sir?
The Intijamiya committee has filed, I'm telling you the latest thing. Intijamiya committee has filed SLP before the Supreme Court. Vishnu ji is also at the Supreme Court. After returning from Allahabad, he has attended and he is in the Supreme Court. Both parties, Hindu and Muslim, both parties are waiting as to whether Chief Justice is going to constitute any bench today or tomorrow.
Right.
After some time, we will come to know. But at present, the thing is that now everything has come in the Supreme Court. And if not today, then tomorrow certainly the petition will be heard. And we are ready for hearing. We have very strong case and everything depends on the fact as to whether the order passed by district judge is in consonance with law, which has been confirmed by the Honorable High Court. Now kindly consider, we have moved an application for SI survey. This survey for a limited purpose, kindly let me know the age of the artifacts. Kindly let me know as to what is lying beneath the main dome structure.
Okay.
What is in the western wall? There are number of Hindu god and goddesses engraved on the western wall. To find out what is their age, what is the age of the western wall, and what is the age of plinth.
Okay.
It will show that previously it was a temple which was demolished, and after demolishing a Hindu temple, this construction has been raised.
Mr. Jain.
Now Atikur Rahman and several Muslims.
Mr. Jain, one second. One second. Let me just tell our audiences something, then I want to come back to you with a question. Let me just explain to our audiences. So the Places of Worship Act that we're talking about is an act that was formed in 1991.
I'm coming.
So one second, let me just explain to our audiences what it is, then I'll come to you with a counter question. So the Places of Worship Act decided the nature of a structure. Essentially, so one second, essentially what that act said is that at 1947, whatever religious denomination a structure belonged to, it would stay to that religious denomination. And what Atikur Rahman was saying right now was that according to that law, and if that law is indeed what the problem is, why doesn't the Hindu side first change that act and then go after each of these individual structures? Sir, I want to understand from you here, and that's the question I wanted to ask you now. What is your answer to that when the entire Masjid committee, for example, raises that question? That why don't you first go after the act, then go after individual structures? Yeah.
I am coming. Mr. Atikur Rahman and several other Muslims, they are raising only one plea. That our plea is barred by Place of Worship Act. Kindly hear the answer.
Yeah, of course.
They have raised this issue, so kindly consider here. They have raised this issue in the suit. They have raised this issue before the trial court. Trial court rejected that application and held the Place of Worship Act is not applicable and suit is maintainable. Against that order, they filed revision 101 of 2022 before the Honorable High Court. Honorable High Court, by judgment dated 31st May, has rejected their claim. The SLP has been filed against that order, which is also listed tomorrow at Silm 18 in court number 1. Now the question is, our plea is, kindly consider very politely. Kindly consider. Our case is that puja worship of Hindu deities that were going on up to November 1993.
Right.
There's not a question of changing the nature. Not the question. Question is, if puja was being performed up to 1993, that is much after 15th August 1947, then certainly the religious character of the property of the building structure That has to be determined.
Okay, Mr. Jain, I'm so sorry to cut you off. Just stay with us. We are running out of time and I need to go to our fourth panelist. So I'm actually going to ask Tausif Ahmed Khan, who is a lawyer and a political analyst, to respond to what it is that Sir just said. Tausif, do you want to go ahead?
You see, if we are talking about the current proceedings regarding Gyanvapi case, it is not new. The dispute was before the court and the Supreme Court at that time, when the survey for the so-called Wazu Khana, the fountain and the Shivling dispute was there. And the Supreme Court had said that you cannot change the status quo. And in fact, the Supreme Court even said that you cannot obstruct the people from performing the wuzu and from performing the prayers at the mosque. Now the same thing, the same argument is taken by the Muslim side before the Allahabad High Court, that the Allahabad High Court, now that they have gone before the Supreme Court, the argument is that the Allahabad High Court is trying to enter into the masjid through illegitimate means by saying that we will do a survey without digging, without excavation, because it is obvious that what follows after this is the excavation. You see, there is a live example before us, before Gyanvapi. The entire country has seen, the entire country was burning for the Babri Masjid issue. And what happened in Babri Masjid issue? The members of the board of the ASI who conducted the digging, there was no consensus among them. The two archaeologists, Supriya Verma and Jaya Menon, they published an entire article raising their objections. They had said that, their ASI archaeologists proceeded with a preconceived idea in the mind, and that they have also claimed that underneath the Babri Masjid there was actually older mosque. So these are all matters of record.
Sir, I'm so sorry. We've actually run out of time now for this conversation.
We are going to the same.
I'd like to thank all of the panelists for joining us. We tried to bring you over there what it is that both sides have to say about the next few proceedings. This is a case that's going to have national resonance, especially before 2024's grand elections. It's time for a short break. Next, we're looking at a story that refuses to die down in Karnataka. Let's take a look. This is Plain Speak.